Yeah, the title of it is Workers Rush to Repair Huge Hole in WTC Bathtub.
Yes. Yes. And,
a 90-foot wide hole in the retaining wall that keeps out groundwater.
Yes.
It sprung some small leaks.
Yeah, but look, 90-foot wide hole is a big hole, 90 foot.
Yeah.
It's quite comparable with the size of the cavity produced by a nuclear explosion.
Engineers say there's no imminent danger of the wall collapsing or the pit filling with water. That seems very odd. I mean, given the nature of water, I mean, it's going to flow. If there's a 90-foot wide hole, it's going to rush through it. I cannot imagine how this story can be true. On the one hand, that there's a 90-foot wide hole, and that it's allowing some leaks, and yet the water isn't rushing in to fill it up. That seems very strange. I'm wondering if some of these articles aren't simply planted, Dmitry. This looks to me very far-fetched.
I don't know, because I found it in the internet accidentally, so I don't know.
Now, of course, it's got a video here. I haven't played it. I won't play it now, but there's a video there that you get when you find it. I would suggest anyone who wants to track this, you can probably do a Google on the title, Workers Rush to Repair Huge Hole in WTC Bathtub. And while the word bathtub is in quotes, I don't think you'd have to put it in quotes in order to find it. The date of this is March 21st, 2002. That also seems to me to argue against its authenticity, because you're talking about, months after 9/11, and if there were this hole, the whole place would have been flooded massively. I'm very skeptical about this, Dmitry. I'm fascinated that you've turned this up, just as I'm fascinated that you've turned up this article in El Mundo about Osama allegedly buying suitcase nukes in the Ukraine. That's utterly fascinating, and it seems to me very consistent with the CIA that it plants alternative stories all over the place, because the whole objective of disinformation is not to convince you of one story or another, but to make everything so confusing and so many alternatives that everything is believable and nothing is knowable. So this is really extremely interesting stuff you're presenting. I'm really quite fascinated by it, and I'm really grateful to have you here as my guest on the show.
You're welcome.
Yeah, absolutely wonderful.
By the way, I can add one more detail about the second truth. As you remember, there was a famous case of Victor Boot, so-called merchant of death, who was recently extradited from Thailand to America.
Okay.
And I think you heard about this.
Yeah. How's his last name spelled?
Victor Boot, B-O-U-T.
B-O-U-T. Go ahead.
And because his extradition took place in Thailand, and I also live in Thailand, I was actually involved with his case, because I tried to help him in the court.
Okay.
And that's why I know a little bit about the details of his case. So it appears that the Americans who demanded his extradition from Thailand, they have also double-layer story. So officially, they want him for alleged selling of portable anti-aircraft missile to Colombian Communist Party, FARC. Okay, but there is another story which is like a secret part of the case, that they also want him for the nuclear terrorism, and one of that is that he allegedly sold the 3 mini nukes to Osama bin Laden in Ukraine, that they were mentioned in the El Mundo article.
Would you repeat that last part about he was a source? He was a source for the story in the El Mundo article.
No. El Mundo article of 16 of September 2001 mentioned that the 3 mini nukes were allegedly used by Osama bin Laden to demolish the 3 buildings in New York.
Right.
Not 2 mini nukes, 3 mini nukes.
Yes.
That's what is.
I understand. 3 mini nukes. Yes.
Yes. And the same article claimed that Osama bin Laden allegedly bought these 3 mini nukes in Ukraine.
Yes.
Okay, and the recent extradition case of Victor Boot, it apparently has something to do with this also, because as it appears from the various materials of the case, Victor Bout is also accused of selling these 3 mini nukes to Osama bin Laden, particularly in Ukraine.
He is the one who is alleged to have sold the mini nukes to Osama.
Yes.
And he's currently undergoing extradition?
He's already lost the extradition case, and he is now in New York in the prison. He's already in America now. He's facing the trial now in America.
Oh, do you think then this is going to be a fallback? Is this going to be the government claiming then that Osama bought these mini nukes? I mean, this will be the second?
Actually, they accuse Victor not only of this, they accuse him of many things, including the mini nukes and also the missile that hit the Pentagon. They also accuse that he is the one who sold the missile. I think he has a lot of accusations, not just one.
Could he have done any of these things?
No. He's absolutely innocent man.
Very interesting. So it's another disinformation ploy by the American government. It's like, seizing prisoners, without justification, subjecting them to torture so they can extract false confessions to justify a phony war on terror. This is so shameless. I mean, the American government has been so disgusting in all of this, Dmitry. Isn't it very disillusioning for the rest of the world to look at the United States, giving all these gross lies to justify these wars in violation of international law, the UN Charter?
It's difficult to say, because if I were American, then I will say it's my government, so I can say it's disgusting or not. Because I'm Russian, and the American government is not my government, so it's difficult to say.
Well, I'll tell you, it's disgusting. It is my government, and it is disgusting, and I've been disillusioned. This country has become the major terrorist nation in the world, I'm sorry to say, along with its ally in the Middle East. Go ahead.
But what I can say that in my opinion, American government, I would not say it's innocent. It's not innocent, of course. But I think that some people in American government, they are just gullible, and they don't know much about the nuclear explosions and the weapons of mass destruction. And the gullibility of the some officials in the American government is being manipulated. I think so.
Yes. So you do believe, actually, just to return to the point we were addressing momentarily, that the bathtub was damaged. But you see, I would argue if it was damaged, it can't have been damaged in such a way that it allowed the Hudson River water to flow in. And I just find that very difficult to reconcile with the tremendous energy released by a nuclear explosion, which it seems to me should have shattered the bathtub and completely flooded Lower Manhattan, the subway tunnels and all that.
But the subway tunnels were also flooded, because there were another articles which were describing that the subway system was flooded. I also read these articles.
Oh, really?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, if you can you send me a link to that too?
I will try to find it.
See if you can find it. Now listen, just to mention a couple of the features then of what you've had to say, and then pursue one we haven't talked about yet. First of all, you learned about the built-in World Trade Center nuclear demolition scheme while you were a commissioned officer at the Soviet Special Control Service at the end of the 1980s. You have, during this program, attempted to explain the phenomena of instant pulverization of structural steel based on your understanding of basic physical properties of an underground nuclear explosion in general. And we're talking about in all three of the buildings, which has a certain theoretical aspect to it, of course, obviously, but nevertheless, you've been articulating your view about this very clearly. But then in addition, I take it that you were approached by an Israeli intelligence officer by the name of Mike Harari from the Mossad prior to 9/11 with questions regarding the possible use of a nuclear demolition on 9/11. And I take it the FBI attempted to get both of you extradited to America?
Yes.
Tell us about that.